Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in-depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling. I'm your host, Hangman Josh Page, and joining me, as always, is my phenomenal co-host, the Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick Dawn. Tonight, we're covering AEW's All In Texas from July 12th, 2025. Let's get into it. Oh, man. This might be the biggest pay-per-view event of 2025. It's coming to us from the Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. And AEW's always been known for their pay-per-views. However, here in 2025, starting with Double or Nothing, it kind of broke out of just like the typical AEW audience and caught the attention of everybody in the wrestling world. And so the expectations...
Huge role right now. Huge push.
Seriously, the expectations have never been higher coming into All In. Which is kind of AEW's big pay-per-view. It was their inaugural event that launched the company, and it's essentially their version of WrestleMania. And, well, not to give away the ghost, All In Texas did not disappoint TTW fans.
So much so that we have to cut a podcast on it. Like, honestly, like this. Yeah. Phenomenal. No, please continue.
No, by all means, go ahead. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, that was it. It was just so it was so good that we are cutting a podcast on an AEW show, which we normally refrain from because it's been a tad bit lackluster in the past. But this needs to be talked about. Like, it was amazing. I'm sorry, and I'm giving it away, but man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're... I mean, it's, Wednesday? At this point, I think most people have heard the news. But this was too big of an event in the wrestling world writ large for us not to cover. I mean, it was so huge and so good. Yeah. That said, let's get right into it. They opened the show here for All In with the AEW World's Trios Championship, which is the Ops, comprised of Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Will Hobbs, versus the Death Riders, which in this configuration, because Pac has kind of disappeared from the scene, is going to be Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and kind of the newest member of the Death Riders out of New Japan, Gabe Kidd.
Mm-hmm.
And just to briefly kind of give my thoughts on this match, not only was it a fantastic match, but there was a through line being told in this match, a storyline. These men put on a banger of a performance. Of course, the Death Riders pull out every kind of cheaty thing they can do legally and not get disqualified.
Yeah.
But it ultimately culminates in Samoa Joe giving Wheeler Yuta the most massive muscle buster I've ever seen him give to a person. Like, he put him up on his shoulders and did like a double pirouette before he dropped him in the center of the ring to retain the titles. But after the match, the Death Riders proceed to beat the bejesus out of all of the Ops, and they stomp Samoa Joe's neck with a steel chair. Well, Claudio does that. And that effectively neutralizes a majority or several of Hangman Adam Page's strongest allies for the upcoming AEW World Championship match later in the evening.
Yeah.
So it very much conveys the idea that the Ops may have won the battle, but the Death Riders kind of won the war on that one.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this match?
Um, Surprisingly, the Death Riders came out, and I did not immediately go, ugh. Uh, but this was a great opener. It gave me everything that I wanted, and there's going to be something that we'll talk about throughout this entire podcast that AEW did in this particular PLE, which is they had story ready to go. Like almost every last one of these matches is telling a story, and this is no exception. It was a great, like you said, it was a great opener, and it told a story for future events in the event in this PLE, which was like, Inception. Like, let's go. Um, yeah, they did also mention something about the announcers or the commentators. Mentioned something about Hook. They keep throwing that out there. Uh, And I guess maybe they're doing that for a reason. Maybe Hook is gonna finally come back and explain why he is mad at Samoa Joe for some reason. Um, or mad at the ops. I'm not really sure why. I kind of
Yeah.
suspect that it has something to do with Powerhouse Hobbs being his replacement. But what were they supposed to do exactly? Um,
Yeah, I
but that
agree. They've kept it really vague with the cold-hearted handsome devil Hook.
Yeah, but they
As
keep bringing it up. You know what I mean? They
hmm
keep tossing out that weird or that awkward um
interaction that
awkward
happened at Double
interaction
or Nothing.
between. Yeah, they keep bringing it up. So I'm assuming that maybe we'll find out more on Dynamite or something. I don't know. But I brought that up because they kept bringing it up. They brought it up once or twice during this match, and that piqued my interest. Um, but yeah, great storytelling here and a great opener. I thought everybody looked good, like everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, even Yuta.
I agree. Yeah, the Death Riders looked good. Even Gabe Kidd, who is weird, um, and Wheeler Yuta, surprisingly. And I'd like to say that I feel like AEW is addressing some of its primary criticisms that it's had in the past, which is it's been criticized for its storytelling, and I know we've criticized its women's division, and I feel like as we proceed through our coverage of All in Texas, we're going to see spots where AEW is shoring up that gap.
Yeah.
It's answering those criticisms. Um, but yes, an excellent opening match that immediately puts the primary story of the evening into the heads of the audience. And just a great match. I mean, there's no way throughout the course of these matches that I could verbally do justice to the level of in-ring work. And for me, that's important. Like, I don't view like you having cool characters in a story as an excuse for your in-ring work to not be amazing.
Oh yeah.
And so the in-ring work is very important to me as a wrestling fan. Like I'm here to watch what goes on between those ropes as much, if not more so, than I am to watch how you decide to develop your characters and what story you're telling. It is important to me that the in-ring action live up to the story that you're telling.
Yeah.
And that's always been a tremendous strong suit for AEW is their in-ring work.
Yep.
And now it's looking like their storytelling is getting to be a bit better, a good bit better.
For PLEs, I will agree.
Indeed. And following that banger of an opener, we are brought next to the men's casino gauntlet. And this, as with any of their casino gauntlets, men's or women's, is an interesting take on what is typically in the WWE a Royal Rumble or a Battle Royale. Um, it works almost in the reverse for those that are not super familiar with it. The casino gauntlet is called a casino gauntlet because it is a gauntlet match, but the number of participants is not known up front, and the intervals of time between which they will enter is random. Thus, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
And unlike a battle royale where it's best to be one of the last participants, this strongly favors whoever gets to start because the match could end at any time by the first pinfall or submission that occurs.
Yeah.
And in this particular gauntlet, a lot of heat has been built up between Mark Briscoe and MJF, who are the number one and number two coming into this match. So the match opens with a fairly heated confrontation between Mark Briscoe and MJF, but they're not able to quite finish one or the other off before we start getting the next sets of entrances. And once that happens, this just sort of becomes a high spot showcase for all of the competitors involved.
Yeah. And I think when I saw MJF and Mark Briscoe starting it, I said to myself, I kind of feel like this is going to be MJF's night. Now that changed with every different competitor that came in. I think Bandito was next. Oh no, Ricochet.
Ricochet, yep. Bald. Bald.
So sorry.
You gotta say it. You gotta say bald
Bald.
for Ricochet. Yeah, there it
Bald.
is. Bald.
Bald. So he was next, and the competitors just kept getting crazier. Bandito, um, I do not know every last entrant.
I could real quick go down the list if you like.
Please.
Well, number 3 was Ricochet, 4 was Bandito, as you said, and noteworthy here in Arlington, Texas, Bandito got a huge pop, like a
Yeah.
huge pop. Then number 5 was the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. And I mean, once I saw Takeshita hit the ring, I was like, I don't know whose match this is
Yeah.
anymore.
You see,
Um,
like honestly, the names just kept getting bigger, and the more people came into the ring, the more I was like, I don't know who's going to take this home. I still in the back of my head thought, well, if we're going by story, right, then I think I know who should win. But it was so crazy. So there was so much. Man, so much that took place in this match. So many high spots. So many guys just coming in and showcasing like some of their best like it was phenomenal. No, AJ Styles did not show up.
No,
Please
no.
continue the list. I'm
in
sorry.
spirit, later on, he kind of does.
Yeah.
But yes, we got the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita, and then number 6 was the superstar from CMLL, Mystico. So now we have just this incredible mix of styles that are going on inside the ring. Then number 7, and get ready for it because you got to do it, Josh Alexander.
Kurt Angle from Wish.
Yes. And I mean, Josh Alexander like hit the ring.
Kurt Angle from Wish.
And started pitching people around. I mean, throwing suplexes and uranages, and this was a showcase. But
yeah,
it didn't stop there. We ended up with let's see, who was the number 8th participant? I mean, I'm inclined to think that number 8 was the 5-tool player Anthony Bowens. And then he shows up and just runs his whole offense on everybody.
Yeah.
And then number 9, the Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick Strong, hits the ring. And just when you think like this is absolute insanity, number 10 comes to the ring, and it's none other than the massive Brody King. And it's just like, this could go any direction in the universe now.
Yeah.
And that's not even where it stops. Number 11's entrance surprised us both for a variety of reasons. Number 11 is the return of Rock Hard Juice Robinson,
Yay.
who we haven't seen in months because he was out with an injury. And he comes back, and instead of looking like Animal from the Muppets, he's clean shaven and he's wearing all black. And like everything about this new Juice Robinson reintroduction shows that he is meant to be taken seriously. And nothing more so than how hard he hits the ring and just proceeds to drop people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in there kicking so much butt that it eventually led to Bishop Khan and Toa Leona of the Gates of Agony coming out to help Ricochet. Finally, since it's a kind of a no DQ match, anything can happen here, right? So the Gates of Agony get in to shut down Juice's momentum as he's attacking Ricochet, which was the only thing that kind of brought a halt to Juice. I mean, he was
Yeah.
serious, but Juice did not come back alone. Oh, no, 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 no. He returns with the Gun Club, another pair of superstars that we haven't seen in months. Now the
Yeah.
only thing missing is Jay White. Where you at, Jay? The band is back together, my dude.
Yeah.
So the Guns hit the ring and they take out Bishop Khan and Toa Leona, and all four of them just basically end up fighting their way back out to the back. So they kind of neutralized each other. And that allows us to turn our attention back to what's going on in the ring when number 12's entrance, the Golden Lover with Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi comes
Oh,
to the ring. And now
okay.
Kota Ibushi is kicking the bejesus out of folks. And
Yeah.
he proceeds to run the ring with his offense until number 13 comes out. And just when you thought this couldn't be crazier, out comes the Beast Mortos.
Yeah.
And Mortos hits the ring and basically annihilates everybody. And I believe Beast Mortos is the last entrance in this, like, just mess of, I mean, I say mess, but it was actually incredibly well coordinated, but it's just a clash of competitors and styles that you just aren't going to see on any kind of regular basis or anywhere else.
Yeah.
And again, I there's no possibility with this many competitors and this many high spots of me possibly doing verbal justice to it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I stand corrected. The Beast Mortis was not the final entrant. We had a final entrance with Max Caster, the best
Oh,
wrestler alive, who comes
that's
to the
right.
ring and basically just gets destroyed. Anybody familiar at all with the shtick that Max Caster has been doing? That is absolutely on brand. He comes out to the ring, tries to get the audience to chant, "Let's go, Max! You're the best wrestler alive." Nobody's here for it, and he proceeds to get demolished. And this basically ends up leaving the ring kind of open for Roderick Strong and Briscoe to be fighting. And Briscoe ends up taking a huge double knee gut buster from Roderick Strong. It's not quite the end of Heartache, but it's up there. But Briscoe like powers through and then proceeds to Jay Driller Roderick Strong. So it's looking very much like Briscoe is about to win this thing. And that's when, as you predicted, MJF hops into the ring and throws Briscoe out to, sneakily grab the pin on Roderick Strong, who had been laid out by Briscoe. And that leaves us with MJF as the winner of the All In Texas Men's 2025 Casino Gauntlet, securing MJF a title shot at some point in the future.
Yep. And it was high octane from beginning to end for me, this match. And that's one thing that AEW does very well, and it's showcasing a lot of wrestlers in a short amount of time. Like, I mean, a lot of wrestlers. They somehow are able to give each and every one of these men their moment to shine before they move on to the next guy. And I mean, this was no exception. They did a great job of that. Briscoe looked amazing, and I'm hoping someday soon, very soon, he gets his comeuppance, and they start draping this man in gold. Uh, but great freaking match, great storytelling. MJF is a national treasure. I know that they like to call him the most hated man in sports entertainment. I don't see that. Um, but yeah, great, absolutely fantastic from beginning to end. All
Yeah,
these
I
so many dudes in that ring, and I can't remember seeing a flub, a screw up or whatever. I can't. Everybody was sharp. Everybody was on it. Uh, yeah, it was like the vibe, the energy, everything was electric.
yeah, I completely agree with you. I am consistently impressed with the way AEW is able to produce these matches with so many moving parts, and it's a lot. It's a lot for all of these men to coordinate and remember their spots
Yeah,
and hit them and not have any botches, not make hardly any mistakes. I mean, if any were made, they were so minor as to be imperceptible. So, like, that is a tremendous level of
yeah,
coordination and effectively fight choreography that these men have to be able to perform, and they rise to the occasion consistently. It's insane. I, there is no lie in AEW constantly shouting we're the best wrestle. I mean, if you validate that based on how they perform in ring, then they are completely truthful with the audience.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. And while there were a ton of moving pieces, I do think most people were coming into this match if they had an expectation and knew who was in it. They were coming into this match thinking MJF was going to win.
Yeah,
And so it was tremendously satisfying, if not surprising. And still a fantastic in-ring performance. Like, there's no point at which your eyeballs will not be pleased by what's happening to them when you watch this.
yeah. I
So,
agree.
excellent match.
But then
But then,
we actually got some and I know it's not a match, but we did get some bad news from Adam Cole. Uh who just wanted to come in and he's going to be out. He had to relinquish his belt. Um and he's going to he didn't get into the specifics uh of what was going on. But he did say that he was not going to talk about retiring. But he was thankful for AEW fans because, uh, I mean, they're the best damn wrestling fans in the world. Uh, he's stepping down to handle some sort of medical emergency that he's having. Um, Roderick was out there, I think, and Kyle O'Reilly was out there. Um, and he just pretty much gave everybody an update about his condition. He put his belt in the middle of the ring, and then he left. And there were chants of "Thank you, Adam," and others, and he was very emotional, and it made me very sad because this guy actually grew on me. When we first started watching AEW, I was not a huge fan of Adam Cole. Um, but just watching him, his the storyline that they had given him briefly with MJF, and not only that, but actually giving him uh proper attention and watching his match instead of critiquing what I think he should be doing or how he should look, which is ridiculous of me to admit. But I mean, that's where my brain was. I was pulling a Vince McMahon on this dude for some reason. But I just like watching his matches. I saw that he wrestled very intelligently. Like he wrestled for his size, and depending on who he was fighting against. If he was fighting a larger opponent, then he was Captain Kick You in the Face. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I saw a very smart guy behind his moves and his move set. Excuse me. And so I don't know, it made me a little bit sad that he has to relinquish his belt and go away for an undisclosed amount of time. So I'm certain that I'm speaking for both of us when I say that we wish him all the best and a speedy recovery. And I hope there is no retiring. I'd love to see him in the ring again.
Yes, and you're speaking for us on that one. It From what I've been able to glean online, it appears to be concussion related. He's had some issues with
Mm,
recurrent concussions, and that can be very dangerous. And the AEW obviously takes that very seriously as well.
yeah.
And based on the tearful kind of announcement of this by Adam Cole, it's clear the man lives to professionally wrestle. And so, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. We hope this is not anywhere near the last we see of Adam Cole, and we wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
But the timing of this announcement was specific because him relinquishing the TNT championship leads us into our next match, which is for the AEW TNT championship. Now, this match initially was billed to be Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole, but obviously they had to change that. And now it is a fatal four-way between Sammy Guevara, Dustin Rhodes, Kyle Fletcher, and Daniel Garcia. And
Phew.
this creates a bit of tension. One, there's the possibility that Kyle Fletcher feels cheated because he went from having a one-on-one for this title to having to do a fatal four-way.
Yeah.
And two, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes are current Ring of Honor tag team champions. They're a team, but this is only one winner. So how will that play out?
Yeah.
Well, my thoughts on this is that this was an absolute in-ring clinic for these four men. All of them looked very good. Sammy Guevara is insane.
Yes. Yeah.
And well, maybe a little surprisingly, so is Dustin Rhodes. I mean, not to put too much of an emphasis on the fact that he's an older performer, nothing about how Dustin Rhodes operated in that ring looked aged to me at all. I mean, he was
Yeah.
fantastic. Kyle Fletcher is on like another level, and Danny Garcia is very good as well. So this was an absolute treat again for anybody who appreciates the in-ring action. I do have to say, there was a point in this match where Dustin Rhodes hits a combination of a Texas Destroyer into the Crossroads. And
Yeah.
I think I said it at the time, and I'll say it again here. That setup and into the Crossroads looks better even than Cody's.
Yeah.
It's insane how well Dustin performs. Um, And there was one other spot that I'd really like to mention because it was great. There was a point where Dustin Rhodes gets Kyle Fletcher set up in the corner, and since it's a fatal four-way, it's no DQ. So he sets Kyle Fletcher up to receive the Shattered
Yeah.
Dreams. And while the ref is making the no-no face, she can't do anything to stop it, right? Because it's no DQ. But as Dustin is setting it up, he is stopped first by Sammy Guevara. And it looks initially like Sammy's like, no, you ain't got to do it like this. But it turns out Sammy just wanted to go first. So Sammy hits Kyle Fletcher with the Shattered Dreams. And we're like, oh, okay. And then it looks like Dustin is about to do it. But now Daniel Garcia steps in and is like, well, now hold on. And then Daniel Garcia delivers the Shattered Dreams. And so finally, Dustin Rhodes delivers it. So Kyle Fletcher ate 3 back-to-back chain Shattered Dreams, and it was phenomenal. Like, as a high spot and a storytelling moment, and, not for nothing, an homage to the body of work that Dustin Rhodes has put forth for pro wrestling. It
Yes.
was tremendous. And I liked that very, very much. I found that entirely enjoyable.
Yeah.
As we continue to head through the match, however, we start to see a culmination of tensions between Guevara and Rhodes as we start to get to near falls, and Guevara prevents Rhodes from securing the pin, and then later the same thing happens. But ultimately, Rhodes prevails, securing the win with a quick cradle pin off of Daniel Garcia, who over-rotated on a Dragon Tamer. And he gets the 1-2-3 quick pin with Guevara diving into the ring to almost stop it, but he's just not in time. And Dustin Rhodes becomes the new TNT champion.
Yeah. And it was an emotional moment. I thought it was awesome. Again, you're gonna hear me say this a lot. A great freaking match. I don't even know what else to say. I have no other critique except for everything that happened in the, like, again, great storytelling. Um, especially between Guevara and Rhodes. Uh, just and this is probably the match that I was one of the matches that I was least excited for. Not that I'm not like excited about watching any of these, but any one of these guys in the ring, but I just kind of thought that it was going to be I thought it was going to be Fletcher's. I just thought Fletcher was going to take it, and it would be some unnecessary drama between Dustin and Guevara, but I was incorrect yet again. And we got a real good storytelling between those two and everybody else, and I mean, I know eventually that belt is going on Fletcher. I know it is. But right now, uh, seeing Rhodes get it, the very emotional response he had to receiving it, and even seeing people congratulate him, that, like, Sammy,
Yeah,
it
and
was
the
good.
Von Erichs joined him in the ring.
Yes, yes, yes. It was good. It was good. It was a great moment.
Yeah, this was a surprisingly emotional segment. We preceded the match with a deeply emotional segment about Adam Cole having to relinquish his belt and being worried that his wrestling days are numbered. And
Yeah.
then we end this TNT match with Dustin Rhodes picking up what might be his final opportunity at picking up something like the team, because this is the first AEW main roster championship he's won.
Yeah.
And so, that's a huge thing. And then, of course, at the end of the match, we're wondering, are tensions still high between Dustin and Sammy? And ultimately, Sammy comes over and shakes hands with Dustin. And so it was just like an emotional roller coaster, this one.
Yeah.
That added a lot to what, as you were just pointing out, might not have been like one of the bigger matches people were hyped for coming into All In, and they actually managed to put a little bit of extra into what would otherwise be kind of a lower on the card match.
Yeah.
And phenomenal, like, just absolutely phenomenal. I must say phenomenal so many times, I think, through this podcast that AJ Styles might show up.
Oh.
But following that emotional roller coaster, AEW's like, well, be prepared to have your emotions completely destroyed, because the next match on the card is Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks, with a huge stipulation. If Swerve and Ospreay win, then the Young Bucks, Matt and Nicholas Jackson, have to relinquish their status as executive vice presidents of AEW. However, should they lose, they are barred from being able to challenge for the AEW World Championship for 1 year.
Yeah.
So
Drama.
high stakes on this match. And my thoughts on this match, this was, if I go based solely on pure in-ring action, not, blood or a huge storyline, but just pure unadulterated in-ring action, this was the match of the night for me. It lived up to every piece of the idea I had in my head when I heard that it was going to be Swerve, Osprey, and the Bucks. I mean, just if you're familiar with those four, you're going to get an in-ring classic just based on the names.
Yeah.
The entrances were super over the top. I loved it. Probably the best thing Ubisoft has going for it. I don't know how much crossover there is into gaming news, but Ubisoft ain't been doing so hot lately. But one of the cool things they've been doing is their affiliation with Will Ospreay. And Ubisoft had an absolute Assassin's Creed performance and affiliation with Will Ospreay's entrance. He had like several assassin ninjas that were performing stunts down the entrance ramp as Ospreay came to the ring, and it was crazy cool. Any part of me that isn't too old to remember the kid inside of me loved that.
Yeah.
Loved every piece of that. Then, not to be outdone, Swerve, his entrance begins, but it begins differently. It begins with Jojo Offerman. And for anybody in the wrestling world in the know, you recognize that Jojo is a former ring announcer for WWE, as well as Bray Wyatt's widow. She is performing Shaka Khan's Ain't Nobody to kick off Swerve's entrance. And she's doing so with Tron effects that are not quite identical for copyright reasons, but very reminiscent of the Fireflies of Bray Wyatt. And she sings Ain't Nobody perfectly. And to add to even more layers of meaning for this, those familiar with Swerve Strickland on the indie scene knows that he used Ain't Nobody as a ring entrance song for quite some time. So there's just layers to what Swerve has done with this entrance.
If you know, you know, right? Yeah.
If you know, you know. And so after a phenomenal performance of Shaka Khan's Ain't Nobody, that leads us into Big Pressure, which of course is going to get huge pop because Nana coming out, throwing the coffee, and then proceeding to dance Swerve to the ring has never not been awesome. Just a lot going on there with Swerve's entrance. And then after Swerve and Ospreay make their way to the ring, and Arlington is just like already popping, the EVPs, the Young Bucks, lean heavily into their founding fathers of AEW status to perform a tremendously over-the-top Washington crossing the Delaware entrance, where they're in a wooden boat that is carrying them kind of through the crowd, while the ring announcer is delivering something akin to the Gettysburg Address, but with it all being about like the contributions of Nick and Matt Jackson to pro wrestling and AEW, and how we all should thank them and owe them for what they've done, and how they will stand against anyone who opposes them. It was lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot, Robin.
And that's before we even get to the match. The match was an emotional roller coaster of so many high spots, so many false finishes, that we were like emotionally exhausted by the end of the match.
Yeah.
But I mean in a good way.
Yeah.
Like this was so much wrestling. Like you can have your criticisms of AEW. But one thing you can't ever criticize them for is leaving you, feeling like you didn't get your money's worth. If anything, they give you like more than you can probably handle. I mean, again, this is a 6-hour pay-per-view that they've put on for us here. So absolutely, this match in the ring was a masterclass.
Yeah.
Um, there were so many false finishes, and it was a hell of a ride. The best service I can do for anyone, because again, a verbal description of what went on is not only just not going to do it justice, but it's almost impossible because so much went on. I can only recommend that anyone who appreciates in-ring action and pro wrestling at all absolutely must watch this match.
Yeah.
Um, and before I kind of speak to, some of the lead into how the match finished, what were your thoughts on this one?
I literally the exact same thing. I'm gonna have to steal all your thunder here. This match, I don't, man. It's hard for me to say if this is gonna be match of the night for me because there were so many good damn matches. But it delivered on everything we wanted it to deliver on. I'm just going over in my head to make like I kind of want to call it. I kind of want to call it my favoriteest match of the night, just because the story between Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, and the Young Bucks was great, and like they're going against quite possibly one of the best tag teams of our time. Okay, like of our generation, like the Young Bucks is the pinnacle, in my opinion, of just one of the best tag teams out there. Um, so for Swerve and Will Ospreay to get even close to that same vibe, to that same energy is remarkable. I mean, they are singles competitors. Uh,
Yeah.
but they worked together like they've been a tag team. Like most of their career has been tag teaming with each other. That's how good they were. Um, or that's how good they were together. And it was. All right, I'll say it. Yeah, okay. Probably number two. It's my second favoriteest match. That's what I'll say. It's my second favoriteest, but it was a phenomenal match. Absolutely
I think
amazing. Again, you're gonna hear me say this a lot from beginning to end. There was nothing bad about this match. It was phenomenal. Whole bunch of false finishes, of course, because it's AEW. Hello, you know. But man, I was tired. Like seriously, I needed to sit back and eat some chips and think about my life after this match.
yeah,
Like
and
seriously.
I think it's sorry, go ahead.
No, I was done.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it kind of faded out a little bit there at the end. Um, but I qualified it by saying if we're going based on in-ring performance, in-ring action, that
Hmm.
this was my match of the night. But there's plenty of matches that reasonably could be anyone's favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, for a variety of reasons, either the storytelling, or maybe you're here for the blood, in which case, yeah, there's another match later that got you covered. But for just pure in-ring action and just seeing the stunt work that is professional wrestling, I absolutely have to call this as match of the night for me.
Yeah.
But qualified in that way, like in-ring masterclass.
Hmm.
Um, and you said phenomenal, and I've said phenomenal enough that that we did eventually summon AJ Styles, at least in spirit, because there was a point where Swerve and Osprey both got the Young Bucks and set them up and hit them with styles clashes, like stereo styles clashes in the middle of the ring. And I hope if AJ watches AEW, I hope he gets a huge smile on his face when he sees these homages, because like
Yeah.
Will Ospreay is practically calling out AJ Styles by name, like, and not in a call out like bad way, but like showing respect to him because he
Yeah.
hits the phenomenal forearm, he hits the Styles Clash on a regular basis. And I can only assume he does that because he is a fan of AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Um, so it was really cool to see both Swerve and Osprey kind of like tip the hat to AJ. And that was just one of the myriad number of crazy things that took place in this match. But after a tremendous in-ring performance, it ultimately comes to a finish when Swerve stomps Nick Jackson outside of the ring from off the apron and then rushes back in and joins Osprey in the ring with Matt Jackson so that they can deliver a combination house call hidden blade to finally pick up the win. After so many false finishes, we were like, is he going to kick out again? um, and what this ultimately means in story is that Swerve and Osprey have struck a massive blow to the establishment, and that Nick and Matt Jackson are no longer, at least in storyline, executive vice presidents of AEW. What a
Yeah.
match.
Yep. Just phew.
Yeah. And what a cool way to give stakes to what was always going to be an in-ring banger, but needed kind of some juice, right? Some storyline. And that did it. That was great. And the
Yeah.
buildup was really good. I'm just floored by that one. That was definitely a match of the night. For me, since I value like the in-ring performance quite highly, this was my match of the night. But I could easily, I mean, this is not officially called a main event, but several of these matches were a main event on any other night, any other time.
Yeah.
And then the actual main events of All in Texas managed to still be main events amongst main events. Oh, geez. This was the pay-per-view to watch. I mean, that's all I can really say at this point. But that brings us to the women's casino gauntlet match.
Yeah. And again, same here. Uh Now it's no mystery. It's no secret that I am very hard on the women's division, especially in AEW. Um but I have nothing but glowing remarks to say about the women's casino gauntlet match. I mean, it was everything that I wanted. A freaking woman's everything that I've wanted from the female competition in AEW. I got in this casino gauntlet. Um, Started out I think with Chris Statlander and Megan Bayne. My least favorite, my least favorite female wrestler right now, Megan Bayne. Um, but I mean, it was a great opener. I was concerned that they would do what they did initially when they pitted Bane against Statlander, which was crush Statlander. Um, but that didn't seem to be the case. I also thought they were going to give us some storylines that involved the Death Riders when it came to Statlander, but thankfully that wasn't the case either. They focused mostly on just the in-ring work and skill of these women. Uh, they didn't. So I'm saying that to say that they didn't lean into much of a storyline with anything here. They just kept it good freaking wrestling. That's pretty much it. And I did not have any. I didn't have any winner in my head because I didn't know who all was going to be in it. Um, and we can go over who was in it. There's not a lot of these women that I knew a lot about. What I can tell you is Queen Aminata was number 7, which let me know that she definitely was not going to be the one to win. So I knew who wasn't going to win, Queen Aminata. I knew that. But I didn't know who would end up ultimately taking the prize for this match. But uh, all in all, even Bane was good. Like no one person, no one lady got into this ring, and I was like, ugh, about it. They all got in there and they represented.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I had no expectations going in, but I was super pleasantly surprised by how well the women of AEW all showed up in this match. Every one of them showed up and showed out to put on a banger. All of them looked great and performed well in the ring. There were no botches that I caught. Um, and while I agree with you, there wasn't as big of an like any kind of really overarching storyline. There were lots of personal feuds that were leaned into. Like we start with Chris Stat and Megan Bain, who have less of a personal feud and more of like which one of them is the biggest and strongest woman on the roster. But then they threw in Willow, and we know there's heat between Willow and Chris Statlander. So we knew that was a combustible element, and they knew that, and they leaned into it. There were also littler feuds, like you mentioned, Aminata, who has been going to war with Tekla in Ring of Honor. And so they leaned into that. And there was concern that, this is kind of a anything goes match, right? No DQ. So Megan Bain having Penelope Ford at ringside kind of represents a nasty advantage for her. But Ty Mello, who was number 4 into the ring, came to the ring with Anna Jay. And Anna Jay and her kind of offset that, especially with a surprise return from Harley Cameron, who hadn't been seen since her and Anna Jay had a match between Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. So they leaned back into that too. So lots of personal rivalries and old wounds were answered for in this match.
Yeah.
So while there wasn't, as you said, an overarching storyline, there were lots of personal feuds that were leaned into and done very, very well, I think.
Yeah.
Because Harley Cameron and Anna Jay ended up kind of running Penelope Ford out of there. So the outside interference thing really didn't become an issue. And since her return, Ty Mello has had like a huge chip on her shoulder for Megan Bain. So she's going after her. And then Tekla comes out, who is just sort of a new roster member that is still kind of mysterious for a lot of us, because I think we've only seen her perform like 2 times on the main television shows prior to this. And if anyone out there is familiar with Tekla's work outside of that, then cool. We weren't. So she's sort of a new element. She's got some hints of like some Bray Wyatt stuff mixed in with her, toxic tarantula kind of a persona, because she likes doing that back bend and walking creepily towards her opponents. And then I want to say our number 6 entrant was it Julia Hart? Yes, Julia Hart comes to the ring, and joining her is Sky Blue. So now we have another entrant who has a outside interferer, so to speak. And of course, that does make a bit of a difference, because Julia Hart and Sky Blue are definitely outpowered by the existence of like Megan Bain and Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. Like those
Yeah.
are all 3 women that are much, much bigger than Julia Hart. So her secret sauce is bringing Sky Blue to the ring to help double team all of these bigger women. And then the number 7 entrance is Queen Aminata, that added another dimension there, because Aminata is like at war with Tekla right now. So just all kinds of stuff going on in the ring. Then to just sort of add a little extra spice to the mix, number 8 is Mina Shirakawa. who doesn't necessarily have a big story arc here, but is generally kind of getting a pop from the crowd because I guess they like her dancing to the ring. Not personally my cup of tea, but to each their own. And then number 9 was Athena, who is currently the longest reigning Ring of Honor Women's Champion. And she comes to the ring to a huge pop because she's a local. I think she's out of Dallas, Texas, and so Arlington explodes for Athena. Like, not just because she's from Texas, but it doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? And then I want to say the number 10 entrance is Thunder Rosa. And Thunder Rosa apparently had a chip on her shoulder for Athena because she went right after her. But then again, Thunder Rosa's kind of a powder keg, so she just sort of has a chip on her shoulder for anybody that's in front of her, I think. She's just a high octane gal. And again, she also gets a huge pop because, Mexico, Texas, right?
Yeah.
So, Arlington is all about some Thunder Rosa. And then number 11th entrance, I think, was the one that most people didn't know what to make of because it's a woman named Suri who is making her AEW debut at this point. And I didn't know about her. I don't think you knew about her. So we were like, well, let's see what she's about. And she's apparently a strike artist out of Japan. And I think the announcers were making a lot out of like her karate background. And so a lot of her moveset is striking. And so there was a lot of striking between her and definitely Mina Shirakawa throughout the match. And then I want to say the final entrant into the match is Alex Windsor, who they said was also making kind of her debut, but I feel like I've seen Alex Windsor in at least one other match on AEW television. So
Yeah.
I had seen her before. And when we did see her, I thought she performed admirably enough. So now the match is just full on with all the participants in it, and it goes crazy. And it's just a chain of each person showing off their high spots. I still go oof whenever Queen Aminata runs to her opponent that's like, kind of draped, facing in towards the ring on the bottom rope, and she literally kicks their freaking heads off.
Yeah.
But they all looked great. The match ends up coming to a conclusion when Mina Shirakawa is in the ring with Thunder Rosa and hits her with a massive spinning back fist and looks like she's setting up Thunder Rosa for a figure 4 when Athena comes off the top rope out of nowhere to hit the O face. She named that move. Don't be mad at me. Which is a flipping stunner off the top rope. Like in midair, she does essentially an aerial cartwheel into a stunner to her opponent, and it's insane. And she hits that on Mina Shirakawa, allowing her to immediately pick up the 1-2-3. And so Athena, the longest reigning Ring of Honor Women's Champion, is now the number 1 contender for the AEW Women's World Championship.
Yay.
Well done.
Yay! I'm happy about that.
Yeah, seriously. And I would like to speak. We watched when Athena debuted, I want to say in 2023. And how she's looking now and how she looked then are two entirely different animals. Both like in her physical appearance, like she is chiseled up her physique, and also in how she's performing in the ring. And so I was thrilled that Athena picked up this win.
Yeah.
Because she looks like she has literally worked her ass off.
Yep.
So phenomenal performance by all of the women. You mentioned it earlier. We've been very critical of how the women's division looks in AEW. We were pleasantly surprised. And this is part of what I mean when I say I feel like AEW is starting to answer its criticisms, a weaker women's division, lack of storylines. So far, I have nothing but evidence that they have shored those gaps because the women have performed outstandingly and there's been some sort of storyline, whether it's an overarching one or just feuds between the wrestlers and that pushes forth their character arcs that have been in every single match of All in Texas.
Yeah.
So, moving on from that phenomenal women's gauntlet match, we are brought to the AEW World Tag Team Championship, which is the defending champions, the Hurt Syndicate. We hurt people.
We hurt
We hurt
people.
people. We hurt people. Versus the Patriarchy. Boo. Versus Jet Speed. Yeah.
Yay.
And I went into this match thinking that if the Hurt Syndicate, who have looked incredibly dominant during their run in AEW, and certainly as the tag champs, had a chance to explicably lose, this might be it. Because in the week preceding this show, they were waylaid by both of the other teams, Jet Speed and the Patriarchy, and we saw them just go ham on Bobby Lashley's knee with like a chair, and they beat the bejesus out of Shelton Benjamin. Heck, they even laid out MVP. And then on top of that, we find out just prior to this match that FTR has decided to come sit at commentary for this match, which leads you to believe that surely there will be some shenanigans from FTR, possibly in tandem with the Patriarchy. But it didn't quite play out that way. What were your thoughts on this one?
This ended up being a little bit, well, it's not like I didn't think that any one group here couldn't perform. I just didn't see the dynamic between all 6 men. I didn't see how it was going to work out, if that makes any sense. Because even though they had done a considerable amount of damage to Bobby Lashley's knee and whatnot, we're talking about the Hurt Syndicate, which they have done such a great job of presenting these men as absolutely dominant that I was still leaning more towards them winning this match. And if they didn't win it, I thought maybe it would have been Jet Speed. I just did not think in any circumstance it would be the Patriot. Let's try that word again. The Patriarchy. Only because there was some shit that needed to be handled with that particular group. They've been showing us something else going on with them, like the dynamic was shifting. So I didn't think they were going to put more gold on that team. I thought they would be more answering a storyline with them, which ironically enough they did in this match. But aside from all that, I thought this was a pretty, everybody ended up working pretty well with each other. Jet Speed is a tag team that I am looking forward to seeing much more of. Each one of those dudes are Knight and what's the other guy's name? No, not that Knight. Wrong Knight. Kevin.
Oh, wrong Knight. Kevin Knight. Kevin the Jet Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey.
That's it. These two guys are definitely someone to keep your eye on. I'm very excited for where they're going in AEW. So, and I thought it was real smart putting those two together too. They look really good together. But all in all, this was better than I thought it was going to be. This match, and Bobby Lashley looked amazing.
Yeah, I think you said during this match, or maybe you said it afterwards, that this is better than Bobby Lashley was ever allowed to look in WWE.
Yeah, no. Without question, he looked fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
tremendously dominant. I want to say there was a point where I think it was Speedball who got to take this, but maybe it was Nick Wayne. I can't remember precisely, but Lashley got that massive one-armed, like, I don't know, it's like a halfway between a choke slam and a spine buster, but I do think it's technically a spine buster. But he got that thing off on, I think it was Mike Bailey or maybe Nick Wayne, from space, like full extension, top of the arena, and he just slammed him down, and we're like, oh, he dead.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back. And there was another really massive spot that's worth mentioning where Shelton Benjamin has apparently decided that he is the new master of the belly to belly and German suplex. That Brock Lesnar is retired and is gone forever. So he's the new master of this. And so, on top of throwing some really vicious looking German suplexes, there's a point in the match where he German suplexes an opponent completely out of the ring onto literally the rest of the competitors, and they're all like, "Bark." And it was tremendous. Like, what a spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you're going to hear us saying this a lot as this podcast progresses. Like, this was a phenomenal show. Like, there it is again. Honestly, say his name and he appears. AJ Styles just falls off the ceiling. But honestly, this whole freaking show, man, was mind blowing. I know they said it was 6 hours, and honestly, it didn't feel like 6 hours. That's how good this shit was. Okay, like
because the whole thing was a thrill ride from start to finish.
Yeah, like Fiddler on the Roof. The movie was about 6 hours long, and had it been this exciting, I would have watched it from start to finish. Instead, I had to watch that shit in segments. So I'm just saying, this was ridiculous.
Yep.
This exceptional, and this match was no exception. Yeah.
Exactly so. And again, there's just, I can pick a few of the high spots, but I mean, to do proper justice, I can only recommend viewing.
Yeah. Go watch it.
That said, to sort of speak to how this match brings itself to a close, there's a point in the match where Christian and Lashley are in the ring against one another. And I want to say Lashley ends up going outside the ring, I think chasing down Christian, and he gets in the face of FTR, and he pie faces both of them, and then he hops back in the ring. Well, FTR is really upset about this now, so they hop up on the ring apron, and Bobby Lashley then when he got back into the ring, Christian goes to try and set up for the kill switch. However, Lashley turns around and shoves him, and it forces him to butt heads with FTR, knocking both of them off of the apron and knocking Christian silly, which sets him up for Lashley to hit him with like the spear of all spears. And at that point, Christian has no further outs. So it's 1, 2, 3, and Lashley decisively picks up the win, proving once again the dominance of the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah. I mean, like, I can't stress enough how phenomenal. There it is. How phenomenal, how freaking amazing Lashley looked in this match. The best I've ever seen him look.
Yeah, really good. Him and Shelton both really, really good. And there was surprisingly little interference. There was some. MJF was smacking people when they were on the outside of the ring. I don't think MVP physically altercated with anyone that I remember. Yeah. So surprisingly little interference on the part of the other members of the Hurt Syndicate. So largely this was Lashley and Shelton just showing you why the Hurt Syndicate is the team to beat. I mean, they looked great. That said, it's not like Jet Speed and the Patriarchy didn't have their high spots and moments. They absolutely did. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Jet Speed is a team to watch. Speedball and Kevin Knight are both really, really talented. I think Kevin Knight is tremendous, but I do think that Speedball has gotten over with the fans just a hair bit more because he comes out, he's like a Power Ranger. So I think he's really popular just all round, and his feats of taekwondo athleticism are crazy. That said, the events that followed were a very upsetty spaghetti. FTR getting back into the ring and setting up to attack Christian. However, Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian enter the ring with a chair to protect him, and they help get Christian back on his feet, and they're mean mugging FTR, and they turn to leave, and as Christian is leaving the ring, Nick grabs him by the waist and pulls him back in and hits him with a huge kill switch, which just surprised everybody, including FTR, who were like, "What?" And then Mama Wayne enters, laughing maniacally. And it looks like Kip Sabian is siding with Team Nick Wayne on this one. And I want to say Mama Wayne slaps Christian across the face, and Nick and Kip proceed to set Christian up for a concerto, when all of a sudden, "You Think You Know Me" starts playing, and out comes Cope, who has also been missing for some months now since FTR apparently killed him for real. And so he hits the ring, and he's bringing Spike, his spiked bat, and surprisingly, the spiked bat doesn't come into play that much. I want to say Copeland largely big boots the life out of Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne, and then ducks under FTR, like attempting to clothesline him, and he double spears them out of the ring. And then it just leaves Copeland in the ring with a down and out Christian, and everyone's like, well, this night just can't get better for Christian. He's screwed. But instead of attacking him, he ends up helping Christian to his feet. And I think you were even saying, why? Why help him? Why? Why?
No. Why? Why?
Why? So he picks himself up, or rather, he picks Christian up, helps him up. He's got a microphone in his back pocket. He pulls it out. I think he dropped it, but he picked it back up. And he just says to him, "Go find yourself," which is a callback all the way to Christian's welcoming of Copeland to AEW with a "Go fuck yourself." And then Cope just rolls out of the ring and heads back while Christian is sort of gathering himself and all the little parts and pieces that got knocked out of him, looking confused as the segment comes to a close. What a match.
Yeah. Great storytelling.
I mean, not only did the Hurt Syndicate look tremendous and validated against some of the top teams, including FTR, who Bobby Lashley just made a fool out of, and the Patriarchy to finish the match. But on top of that, we have a huge piece of storyline that goes on with Nick Wayne turning on his Faza, and then the returning Adam Copeland, jaw on floor. I mean, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow is right. I got. You know what I'm here for? To say phenomenal.
AJ Styles, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. But no, absolutely another great match. There are like it just here there are no bad matches here. None, guys, none. I know it's a long PLE, but I'm telling you, you guys, if you haven't seen it, you should probably. We're telling you who won and what happened, but you should go and watch it. Just go and watch it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, any of the matches that we've spoken to thus far would be the main event on any other show on any other night.
Any other night,
And
yeah.
we still have what is billed as a triple main event where each of these matches somehow have to transcend what came before them.
Yeah.
And shockingly, they do. But yeah, everything we've spoken to thus far in All in Texas is absolutely a show closer of a main event on its own on any given night.
Yep, absolutely. And the awesome train just keeps rolling. It's match 7.
Indeed.
Here's something that you guys will not hear me say again. The awesome train keeps rolling with match 7, Tony Storm, yay, versus Mercedes Moné. Yay?
Surprisingly.
Surprisingly.
Yay.
I will, if you don't mind, I don't have much to say for the next 3 matches except for, oh my god, freaking amazing. So if it comes back to me again, that's what most likely you hear me say. Oh my god, freaking amazing. I feel like I'm losing my voice. I don't know if you guys can hear it now, but this match, everybody on the interwebs told me who was gonna win this match. Like Mercedes Moné is gonna win this match. People were already upset about it. Because they weren't ready for Tony Storm to relinquish the belt just yet. Because I mean, honestly, who else would she relinquish it to except Mercedes Moné, right? And even I thought when I wasn't looking forward to this match, to be perfectly honest, because I thought that they were going to take the belt away from Tony. And I am not a fan of Mercedes Moné. I'm just not, guys. I don't think she's that good. And it's not that she can't be. I just feel like she coasts by on most of her matches. Okay, so I just think she just kind of strolls through it, and then pulls off a semi decent finisher at the end and calls it a night. And they had already established her going for a champion's belt and winning. I think this woman has like 6 belts now, or something, some ridiculous number. So I just was not looking forward to this match, except for Tony Storm was in it. Their entrances were great. Tony is absolutely over the top. I did think several times in this match that Luther was going to betray her. I did. I was just waiting for it. I was waiting.
No,
but
Luther.
Don't. I just kept waiting for it. But thankfully that didn't happen. Luther remained loyal. Loyal Luther.
Luther.
And this match was fun but crazy. Mercedes looked good. She looked good in this match. I mean, again, it's not that she can't. It's and that's one of the reasons that I usually gripe about her, because I know that she can do amazing work in the ring, and she decided that this was the night she was going to do so. There was one crazy part where Tony gave Mercedes how many?
3 in a row.
Yeah, she what is that move called?
Storm Zero. Pile
Storm
driver.
Zero. Yes, she gave her 3 in a row, and we thought, okay, that's it. Tony's got it. And freaking Mercedes was like, and kicks out of that. Which made us go, oh, come on.
Yeah. We were incredulous that she was able to kick out of that. Like that. That was where we were like, come on now. Because that would be like Cody hitting his triple crossroads and somebody kicking out. Like, I mean, beyond a certain point, it's like, come on, what more can she do now?
Yeah. Like just imagine Cody did that to Roman, right? And he's on his third move, and his legs are all shaky, and he he does it, uh and then he goes for the pin, and Roman kicks out. Like, what is there? What's left? A save. Cody pulls out a gun, and then we see an actual murder. Like, what is
Yeah.
left?
Yeah, and the fact that it was actually a kick out and not like she managed to get a foot on the ropes or something, that we were like,
Yeah,
come on.
it was a kick out. We were like, you have got to be kidding us. But at that point, right after that, I was like, oh, what's going on here? Because I mean,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, but then, I mean, it's Mercedes gave as good as she got with Tony, and there was a point where I was like, okay, well, that's it. Uh, I guess she's gonna get this stupid belt, and then Tony kicks out, and then I'm like, what the hell? Oh, what the hell going on?
Yep. What the Storm doing?
Yeah, what's Tony doing? Um, yeah, and then for me, it got real, and then I was fully invested in this match. Um, because both of these ladies looked crazy good. This was probably the best I've seen Mercedes in AEW. This match. She went all in. And so did Tony, but I would expect that of Tony. I was just extremely pleasantly surprised to see it from Mercedes. It wasn't just I deserve this belt because of who I am. She literally, it looked as if she was fighting for this belt because she felt she deserved it. And that was a much different competitor than, her just coasting through the match. So, that's a different beast. And I mean, I got to give her props. She brought it. Uh, Tony brought it more. I think Tony has absolutely solidified. I've seen this everywhere too. I think she has solidified her place as the face of. I think she's the face of AEW. Like, honestly, I think she's the face of the company right now.
Yeah, she's the champ.
Yeah.
And she's been the champ for quite some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, please continue.
Oh well, no, I mean that was it. I'm done. I thought this was a great match, and this is probably one of the best matches I've seen Tony in as well. Tony looks good most of the time in her matches, but I thought she really went above and beyond in this one. Like, both ladies, I felt like they took this shit seriously.
Yeah, they shined one another up like diamonds.
Yeah.
I'm going to echo several of your sentiments with my own thoughts on this match. I went in really not wanting this to just be one more belt for Mercedes Moné, because I feel like her getting all of these belts has been artificial stacking. Like, I
Yeah.
felt like AEW is like, well, we're paying her a lot. We've got to do something with her. And I say that because Monet's performances in ring have been pretty weak, being some combination of either botches or 15 flavors of Meteora as her entire offense.
Yeah.
So I was super pleasantly surprised at how well Tony and Mercedes both performed here. And I'm absolutely in love with Tony Storm's timeless gimmick. Like, it's so good. And you brushed on the entrances. Mercedes came to the ring in a lowrider, homage to Eddie Guerrero, and she was being danced to by what did they say? A Texas team's cheerleaders, but I don't recall exactly who. I apologize. But she had a whole cheerleading crew that were dancing her to the ring as she drove up on the side of the entrance ramp in a lowrider, and she hops out with a train, like from her robe, that is incredibly long, and it's got the names of all of her vanquished champion opponents written on it. And so it was a super flex. And so she comes in there and she's got this train just behind her. It was tremendous pageantry. But then that's followed up with Tony Storm doing like a whole black and white film noir kind of an entrance where she cuts a promo on Mercedes prior to the match and then comes to the ring with her normal timeless entrance. And so these ladies set the stage for what was about to happen in the ring. And as you were kind enough to elaborate upon, this match was back and forth like crazy. And there were so many false finishes and kickouts of things that we didn't think anybody should be kicking out of.
Yeah.
And I think our surprise at Monet kicking out of a triple storm zero pile driver sank our hearts for two reasons. One, because like you said, like shy of pulling out a handgun and just committing murder, what are you going to hit her with at this point to win the match? So we immediately were like, no, Mercedes is going to get this damn belt. Fortunately, it did not go that route. And to let you know what the finish of this match was, after that kick out, there was some more exchanges between the two. There was a point where I want to say Mercedes gets Storm in a statement maker, but then transitions to an STF. But Storm powers out of it. Monet then backstabbers her, but after the backstabber, Storm jumps back up and hits a running hip attack. And at a certain point, they both end up kind of near the top rope. Like Mercedes is seated on the top rope, and Storm jumps up there onto the middle rope, straight up kisses Monet on the lips, and then hits her with an avalanche Storm Zero pile driver off the middle rope. And not only is that just a crazy thing to see whenever anybody does an avalanche pile driver of any kind anywhere, but that was definitely the closer, because then Tony was able to roll her up and get the 1, 2, 3 and retain and therefore maintain that she is timeless.
Yeah. Amazing. Like, it was a great. I've already said my piece, but amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Like, Tony Storm is the face of AEW, not just necessarily the women's division. She is timeless. I don't know what else to say. There wasn't a bigger adversary they could have built up for Tony Storm to vanquish, to secure that, or to reinforce that more thoroughly.
Yeah.
Absolute banger. And the first of the triple main event. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? Well, we're going to see if the AEW Unified Championship match between Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega can answer that question. But well done, ladies, both of you. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am that not only did the women show up, but they thoroughly showed out. The women of AEW went all in, pun intended.
Yeah. Amazing. Yep.
And that brings us to our second of the triple main event. As previously stated, it's the AEW Unified Championship, Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega. And my thoughts on this match is this was a battle in what has been a war level rivalry between Omega and Kazuchika. And in fact, it was, I want to say Wrestle Kingdom 11, but I could have the number wrong. They kind of put Omega on the map as potentially being the best wrestler in the world. His war with Kazuchika Okada put him on the map.
Yeah.
Um, it might have even put Kazuchika Okada on the map for a lot of people because, prior to that, they were indie guys wrestling in New Japan. But the performance was on a level that broke free of the constraints of just the New Japan audience. Much like I feel like AEW has been doing with their pay-per-views, is breaking out beyond just the people that typically watch AEW because the performances, well, they get attention that they don't otherwise receive. Case in point, our podcast covering All in Texas. And we are not the only one.
Yeah.
And again, there's no possibility that I can verbally do justice to what these men did in ring. Both men got huge entrances, but I think Omega may have won that battle slightly with a Squaresoft level boss fight entrance, including Jason Charles Miller performing live with a chorus Kenny Omega's song "Take Flight," while a giant Omega symbol was lit on fire for Kenny Omega to walk through on his way to the ring. Over the top.
Yeah. Just a little bit. It was a little bit.
Just a tiny touch. Now, I kind of figured going in that the record is lopsided. Kenny Omega is 1 up on Kazuchika Okada, or maybe 2 up. I'm not sure I'm remembering correctly, but I know he was at the advantage. So part of me said, well, maybe this is where Okada gets his comeuppance. And you couple that with the fact that Don Callis is there, and you know that the Callis family absolutely take an opportunity to get involved. I kind of was suspicious that this would be a tough one for Kenny to pull off. And that's on top of the making much ado of Kenny Omega's battle with diverticulitis. So that was kind of my going into it thoughts. What were your thoughts on this match?
I don't want to give anything away. But
you can feel free. Talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, no, I kind of knew that this was going to be Okada's match to win. Only because they have been harping a lot on Omega's condition and the 2 feet of intestines that were removed, and on top of that, I feel like it was time for Okada to win that. I think this ties them up or puts him over 1. I think. I don't know. I could be absolutely wrong. I think it might be more like what you said, but I mean, I fully expected. Just long story short, I fully expected Okada to be the winner here, but I also did not expect for it to be easy, and it tweren't. Was not an easy match.
Tweren't. No.
Yeah. These 2 men, again, these are 2 seasoned professional wrestlers that work amazingly well together. Again, no shot to Okada, but we're talking about Kenny Omega. You can't work well with Kenny Omega, that I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, this was a phenomenal match, and by the time this match came around, like, I was already a puddle in my chair, just an emotional puddle of what the fuck am I watching? So by the time this match came around, I thought it didn't have any more juice, but I did. I was about it. So and this match, sometimes I think I'm kind of down on Okada, because I feel like he's a bit slower here than he ever was in New Japan. But he's very methodical, and I have to take him. I have to take his character performance as that, because I mean, he really does take his time and try to pull his opponent apart, kind of like watching a cat attack a bug. And once you get into that mindset, then watching him do that is kind of enjoyable. Um, and I mean that's what he pretty much did here. He just picked and picked and picked, and he picked the spot, and he clung to that spot, and then when Omega got himself some breathing room, uh, to do something other than get hit in the gut, um, he did so, and it looked good. But then Okada was like, "But that gut though," and went right back to it.
Yep.
So, uh, and to prove a point, to tell a story, that's exactly what this was, and it was brilliant. It was fantastic to watch. I know nobody likes Thumbhead, but it's not just about Thumbhead. And you have to give Thumbhead credit for having quite possibly the best mix of men in his faction. He's got some of the best wrestlers in AEW
Yep.
in his group. You got to give him credit for that. You can say what you want about him, but you can't pretend like that is not a dominant faction, a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
I thought,
absolutely. Yeah. I can despise the walking thumb Don Callis, but I would be lying if I said he hasn't put together one hell of a faction. And
no,
adding Kazuchika Okada to the ranks just puts it as possibly the most dangerous faction in
yeah,
AEW.
they hurt people
They do. They do.
emotionally too. They're fucking vicious.
They are. They absolutely are. And that did come into play. Not tremendously. Nothing more so than Don Callis screwed over Omega in this match. Um, there was a brief bit of time where I want to say, what is it? Roppongi Vice's members, was it Sugar Sweet? What is it? Azukar, Rocky Romero, and
Mhm.
oh, the other fella's name who's escaping me. They attempted to play a part, but they didn't really play much of a part. What really played a part as we head into how this phenomenal match came to a close was after a tremendous battle. Kenny is finally able to follow up a well placed V trigger on Okada with the one winged angel. And this was definitely going to get the 3 count. And Don Callis realizes that, and he pulls out the referee and proceeds to stomp him out. Like,
Yeah,
that ref is going to not only not count, but he's not going to appear again in this match in order to say, hey, who pulled me out? Just DQ. So the referee gets obliterated. And it was during this moment that the Don Callis family kind of made their presence felt. But it wasn't terribly long after that Audrey Edwards runs to the ring to replace the ref. Unfortunately, the Callis family interference proved just enough. And Okada manages, after a just ridiculous drop kick in which Kenny Omega was running at top speed into it with his face, he manages to hit the Rainmaker on Kenny Omega and secure the 1-2-3 pin, becoming the new unified AEW champion. This was an intense conclusion, question mark, to their rivalry. And just to correct the record, I had a little bit of time while you were talking to internet it, and this does put Okada one up in their rivalry. They were tied previously at 2 wins each and 1 draw. So Okada is currently up, which makes me have hope for an impending rematch, assuming Kenny Omega's health can afford him that, because he's been mentioning lately that, fighting this diverticulitis is kind of a pain. But then again, I couldn't tell you if he's working us or if he really is having some
yeah,
difficulties.
yeah. Right.
Um, and if he's working us, then it makes us watch even closer, because it's like, is this Kenny's last match? So, he's smart, if not a little shady, to work us over a real injury. But that gives me hope that Kenny Omega will not leave this defeat by Kazuchika Okada unanswered. But what a banger of a match. And
Yeah.
ooh, Don Callis is scum. Like,
Yeah.
if it is the job of a heel to make you despise them, Don Callis has done phenomenal. Like, Don Callis can be not even outside, and the crowd will sometimes erupt into a "fuck you, Callis" chant.
Yeah.
That's how much he is hated. But phenomenal match. It was everything I expected it would be between Okada and Kazuchika. I'm sorry, between Okada and Omega. And it just happened to be Okada's night. And so congratulations to Kazuchika Okada for being the new unified AEW champion. And I can't wait till Kenny comes back and kicks you and Callis's asses all over the damn arena.
Yeah, here's hoping. But congratulations.
Indeed. And that brings us to the final of the triple threat main event matches, the AEW World Championship Texas Death Match in Texas between the defending Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page. And let me just say, on a night with multiple main events and other matches that could easily also be main events, as I said, this match managed to be the main event.
Yeah.
Page and Moxley in a Texas death match was always going to be bloody. Like, if you were wondering which match on the card is going to be the one where buckets of blood, or it's this one. And it delivered. Like, right out the gate, Moxley produces a fork. The kind that you just would eat your mashed potatoes with. And he tries to hit Page with it. Well, Page apparently knew what was on the menu because he had his own fork. And he proceeded to hit Moxley several times with just straight up unguarded. Like, usually they've got their hand down on the tines so it doesn't look, really eating that much fork. No, Moxley just said, give me the whole fork directly to the head. And so immediately Moxley is just bleeding buckets.
Yeah, the camera does not cut away.
No, they showed you him just eating a fork to the skull. He was like, yum, yum, this is good.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. And, but make no mistake, it wasn't long before a combination of barbed wire and glass had Hangman join him in the bloodbath. Now, for those not familiar with what Texas Deathmatch involves, it's essentially an anything goes kind of a match, which has to be won by a 10 count knockout or by submission. There's no pinning anybody in this one. There's no getting counted out. There's no, you either have to be unconscious for 10 seconds or submitted.
Yeah.
So imagine, if you will, Moxley and Hangman beating the life out of each other for a good portion of this match, and you will have a solid understanding with barbed wire and glass, broken glass all over the ring, several pile drivers into said broken glass. And this is what a lot of this match was. It was very intense. And of course, there's the ever-present specter of the Death Riders, who can pretty much interfere as much as they want. There was often times where Hangman was really threatening Rena Shafir, and before anyone gets upset, she deserves every bit of it. And it definitely looked like the Death Riders, especially having destroyed the Ops at the beginning, were going to cost Hangman until pretty late in the match, where the Tron comes on and shows Darby Allin on it, who we haven't seen for months. And in the video, he looks like he's currently climbing Mount Everest. And I forget exactly what he said to the Death Riders.
Yeah.
I think it was something along the lines of, if I can climb Everest, climbing over you punks is nothing. Something like that. And if I'm wrong, whatever. I paraphrased it. You can keep that promo.
It's free.
But while he's on the Tron and everybody stopped to look, oh shit, it's Darby Allin. A masked stranger enters the ring. And we don't know for sure who it is, but he just hit somebody, I believe Claudio Castagnoli, with a Psycho knee. No way. Mm-mm. And then a few seconds after that, he pulls off the mask to reveal that it's Bryan Danielson, who was retired by Moxley and the Death Riders viciously, violently, atrociously at the end of 2024. And so this is the first time we've seen him. And we're surprised to see him because he said that was the last time we'd see him. But here he is, kicking the shit out of the Death Riders.
Everybody got some.
And while Bryan Danielson is just destroying the Death Riders, from the top of the arena ceiling descends Darby Allin, very much in WCW Sting fashion, on a cable that drops him perfectly on the apron of the ring. And I believe Hangman Adam Page delivered a couple of buckshot lariats while Darby Allin was unbuckling his carabiner. And then after that, Darby Allin proceeds to coffin drop all of the Death Riders all at once, because they were outside dealing with Bryan Danielson, and they all managed to congeal in a nice little pile that Darby Allin was like, that's the spot. And he coffin drops all of them, and it looks great. So we have Darby Allin, who was a victim of the Death Riders, last seen being kicked down some stairs. We have Daniel Bryan, who was also a victim of the Death Riders, last seen getting the life choked out of him with a plastic bag and losing his championship to Jon Moxley. So this is perfect long-term storytelling coming to fruition. However, while all of that is going on and Daniel Bryan manages to run off most of the Death Riders, I want to say Shafir and Moxley. Shafir pulls Moxley up onto his feet.
Yeah, he's outside on the he's on the outside. Yeah.
And then the Young Bucks come out. And the Young Bucks super kick Page and then hit him with an EVP trigger. Damn you, Young Bucks. And this allows Marina Shafir and Jon Moxley to reach under the ring and pull out, of all things, a bed of nails. A bed of motherfucking nails.
Yeah, maybe they didn't hear you. Yeah, bed nails.
And they pick it up and they slide it into the ring. And of course, Page, who is now obliterated because of the EVPs and the EVP trigger, is pretty much just putty in Moxley's hand. So I want to say Moxley sets up Page kind of on all fours on the bed of nails, or at least, his hands are on the bed of nails.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to deliver a stomp on the bed of nails. Now, most of that stomp goes into Page's arm, which on a bed of nails is still not great, but I guess it's better than his face.
Yeah.
So Moxley, realizing this, decides, well, forget that. And he hits a paradigm shift face first for Adam Page directly into the bed of nails. Page somehow manages to get up at like 9.999 ad infinitum, just the thinnest of hairs before the 10 count. And that's when Jon Moxley orders Marina Shafir to go get the title belt. And so she jumps out the ring, goes over to the timekeeper's table, and starts reaching for the belt. But then somehow, some way, realizes that she is now handcuffed to the timekeeper's table. She steps away. She's shown a chain where she is cuffed to the damn table, and she's pleading with Moxley. And Moxley's like, "Well, bring the belt, woman." And she's like, "I can't. I'm handcuffed." And shortly after that, Prince Nana, who I don't know how long he must have been waiting under there, or if they've got like a little walkway down below or something. But Prince Nana pops up from out from under the timekeeper's table, revealing that he is in fact the reason that Marina Shafir is now handcuffed.
Now, prior to this, Will Ospreay had come out to try to help too. And I believe he got the same thing that Samoa Joe got from Claudio. He got the chair stomp.
He did. He came out and he was like, "I'll have what Joe's having."
So for those of you who are asking, like, what Prince Nana? That means Swerve Strickland. Then where's Ospreay? That's where Ospreay was already out there, already on the mat.
Yes.
Yeah. Continue, please.
With his neck completely shattered.
Yeah, gone. It's gone now. He has no neck.
Yep. So we have Prince Nana popping up, which immediately is like everyone's now wondering, well, where's Swerve? Because you can't have one without the other.
Right.
Well, where Swerve is making his way to the ring with a giant chain. Hangman Adam Page's chain, to be precise. And we're all like, oh, snap. The moment of truth. Is Swerve going to let bygones be bygones, or will he actually help Adam Page after swearing he ain't gonna? Well, Swerve decided that Hangman Adam Page was the lesser of the two evils in the ring, and so he hands Page the chain, and Hangman proceeds to turn around and knuckle dust the crap out of Jon Moxley with that chain. And then I think he proceeded to try to immediately hang Jon Moxley over the top rope, but Moxley fought his way out of it. So Hangman then hits a buckshot lariat onto the bed of nails.
Yes.
With Moxley, and Moxley eats the entire bed of nails back first, like just all of it. Like, yum, yum. That's good.
Yeah.
And it's after that moment with the other Death Riders have been run off by Brian and Darby Allin, and Marina is handcuffed, that Hangman is able to get that chain around Moxley's neck, toss him over the top rope, and literally have Moxley submit while being hung from the neck until dead. And with that, the Hangman becomes the AEW World Champion.
Amazing. And then he goes and he gets the briefcase. And he's very emotional. Like this is the night for these men to be very emotional. He's Indeed. Unlocking the case, and then he opens it up and just pulls it out and raises it above his head. I was so happy that it was in there because I was convinced that it wasn't in there anymore. I was convinced.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that it was actually in there. They gave us the satisfaction of seeing the belt again. We got our reward. The audience loses it. Hangman, it was freaking amazing. Yeah, like the whole thing, man, from start to freaking finish, amazing.
Yeah, and the show closes with Hangman's music playing. I believe there were fireworks. Hangman's teary-eyed but stern, and he's holding that belt, and it very much felt like, Hangman had to fight for his life in this match, and I mean the stakes couldn't have been higher. It was perfect.
Yeah,
and it managed. That's why I say it managed to be the main event on a night of nothing but main events. It was tremendous. And it was the payoff of like years of storytelling with this Death Riders angle. You had Darby Allin come back for long-term revenge after the Death Riders took him out. You had Daniel Bryan come out, or Bryan Danielson. I get them confused. I'm sorry. And get his revenge for the way Moxley took him out in his final match. Question mark. Maybe not a final match. And you had literally all of AEW who have been opposed to the Death Riders finding a way to contribute to the downfall of the Death Riders. And it was perfect. I mean, this was the payoff that everybody needed, the catharsis that everybody has needed for the Death Riders, both what they've been doing in the ring and in storyline, and, you know, the myriad number of folks that hate the Death Riders on its face, like as a gimmick, they think it's terrible, everything. So Hangman was carrying all of those hopes and dreams into this match for this payoff, and it was spectacularly done.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Your verdict.
Oh, if it hasn't been made obvious by everything I've been saying.
Yeah.
This almost deserves more than 10 neck nubs. Like it could be an unprecedented 11 or 12 of them. This is top tier in its very definition. This is the most top tier thing we have ever reviewed in this podcast as far as I'm concerned. Nothing but excellent matches that all could have been main events, that all transcended what they could have been or what we thought they were going to be and blew our expectations out of the water. Yeah. All in Texas is a 10 of 10, possibly more so. Absolutely top tier.
Yeah, I agree. This was definitely a 10 for me. Definitely a 10 without question. I didn't even know what a 10 looked like until I saw this. This is definitely a 10.
Yeah. And that's a good way of putting it, right? I'm usually loath to give out something like a 10 because there's always like a 10 is supposed to be like perfect. And I think that's why this is a 10, because I haven't ever seen a show quite like this or a pay-per-view quite this good anywhere ever in the world of professional wrestling. And, somebody could validly argue that, well, that's a lack of experience on your part. I saw this and it was the best thing I've ever seen. Well, good for you. This is my podcast and this is the best damn thing I've ever seen. This was the best wrestling pay-per-view I have ever seen, including the previously outstanding Double or Nothing. Like, AEW has got a grasp by the short and curlies on delivering a pay-per-view experience that is like you are simultaneously watching the best wrestling show you've ever seen while also somehow attending a wrestling convention. Like, you can't ever argue that you didn't get your money's worth. I'm sorry, a 6-hour event, not enough wrestling for you, including matches that, like, you're literally exhausted. You've had so much wrestle match. Like, the false finishes, the emotional back and forths. Every one of the matches that were on the card transcended any expectations that anyone could have reasonably had for them. So, yes, this is a 10. If something else comes along that blows my mind bigger than this, then that'll be the new 10. But right now, All in Texas is the 10.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean it is the benchmark that any other wrestling needs to be aspiring to.
Agreed. Again, phenomenal.
Whew. Yeah. I relived some of that. I'm tired now. So that has been our coverage of AEW's All in Texas 2025 and the absolute spectacle that this event was. And I would like to thank very much all of the top tier fans that joined us for this episode, and I welcome you to join us for our upcoming episodes. Our coverage will probably resume with Friday Night SmackDown, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Until then, I don't think there's anything left for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest WWE news and shows. You can find us on all major podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel where we upload all of our episodes. You can also follow us on Instagram and X for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.